I love working with Linux, but what I don't love is when I have to spend my day working in terminal. What I want to show you today is how I use VS Code as an alternative to terminal. So with VS Code, if you don't know it, it's an open IDE from Microsoft. It's all built on top of Electron, and it's very extensible for people to add different extensions to it, to add new functionality. So I'm going to open VS Code, and like I said, it's very extensible. There's an entire marketplace of extensions. I can see all the extensions I've installed. The first one I wanted to show you, if you've never used it before, is this Cobalt 2 theme. This gives it kind of brightens it up a little bit, but some colors that are kind of pleasing. There's also a Docker extension. For others, there's a Kubernetes extension. But what I want to show you is this remote SSH extension down here. So I've installed that plugin. And what that does, that enables a little button down here that I can click on. And that opens a dialog box. When you're working in VS Code, this dialog box comes up a lot. You can see the different options I have with it right now. What I want to do is click this first one. And just like working with SSH, I've got to put my username at my host. So I'm going to go ahead and do it as root. And then the host is going to be the IP address of the machine. I'm going to click on that. And then what that's doing is that's starting that remote connection. Up here you can see it's asking for the password. So I'm going to put a password and get that in there. So VS Code, I put the password in. It's now making the connection with the machine. It installs a little bit out there on that machine. And then now I can see it's yellow down here with the URL for it. So I know it's been connected. So usually when you're working with terminal, you just have that terminal screen. In VS Code, you're going to have a terminal screen. You're going to have a file editor, a file browser, and then a file editor. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the file browser part and click on the folder. So I'm going to do it at root today. So I'm going to click on that, and you can see that I now have everything that's in the root folder for this machine. You can also see that when I did that, it also brought up a terminal window down here, so I can do things like ls and see what's in there. One of the things I want to do, if you're as I'm working in here, I want to make sure that the little project we're going to do today is going to be to do a little Docker compose stack out on this machine. So first thing I want to do is make sure that Docker is already running on this machine. So I'm going to do systemctl status Docker. And I can see that Docker's not running right now. So I'm going to go ahead and start it real quick. So so if I do status, I can see it's already running. And so the same thing is when you're working in terminal, that same functionality I can do here. I can go and run the different command line entries to see what's going on. What I want to do now is I'm going to go, and I think my favorite kind of hello world for Docker Compose is spinning up WordPress. So I'm going to create a new folder in the root directory, and I'm going to call it my WordPress. And then we're going to go build that YAML file out there. So I'm going to say new file, and I'm going to call it Docker Compose .yaml. .yaml. And now you can see I've created that file, and now in the file editor over here, I've got my Docker Compose YAML, and I can start to edit that. Well, I've out on the Docker the Docker documentation, there's the Docker Compose file for WordPress. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And I'm going to paste that in here. And you can see what I'm doing here is I've got a set of services I'm going to spin up. I've got a MySQL database I'm spinning up, and I'm setting some parameters around it. I'm also setting the WordPress, I'm setting up WordPress. So I'm pulling the latest WordPress image. I'm going to map to port 8000. And tell you, we're going to go ahead and change that and make that port 80. And then I've got a volume for the database out there. So my YAML file's created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and save this. And all the work, again, I can't say it enough, the work I'm doing, all this editing and everything is being done on that remote machine. So I've gone and created that. And the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and bring that up. So let's switch into that directory. So I got to jump into the My WordPress directory. And here I'm going to do a Docker compose up and do a /d or -d. So here I've run my Docker compose. It's now running Docker. Docker's going and getting all the, it's going and building those images. And another cool thing about this is, while this is going on, I can also look over here and I've got Docker running, or I've got my Docker extension, and this will tell me all the different images that are sitting out there on that machine right now. So, but what I'm going to focus on is, okay, so it's up and running. So let's go ahead and open a browser real quick, and we'll get a Chrome browser up. And we can see, let's see, 192.168.1.229 is the URL we use for that machine. And we did it 80, so we don't have to do anything with it. We click, and there we go. We've got WordPress running out on this Linux VM. And we did it all without having to use terminal. We did all the work within VS Code. So I hope this kind of shows you a lot of what VS Code can do as a terminal for you. There's a lot more functionality there, especially around Python. I think it's one of the premier Python IDEs out there today. And so hopefully this gave you a pretty good look at what we've got and what we've done. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you're interested in following more, please subscribe to the channel. We also, the code that we use in our videos, I posted up on GitHub/SplittingAtom, and you can also follow us at SplittingAtom0 on Twitter. Thanks a lot, and have a good day.